Welcome to this GCSE Maths video on ratios. There are three areas of ratios that I want to cover. Firstly, simplifying ratios and looking at equivalent ratios. Secondly, sharing and dividing using ratios. And finally, ratio and proportion. There's more stuff there than I can fit in one video, so that's probably going to end up being three separate videos. So, I'll start with the simplifying, but before I do, quick definition. What is a ratio? It's just a way of describing the relationship between two quantities or amounts. Should make more sense as we go through some examples. So this is the sort of thing that we might get asked in a one of the easier questions. 16 boys, 12 girls in a class. What's the ratio of boys to girls? So in this question, because boys are mentioned before girls, in our answer we need to give the boys' number before the girls' number and just separate the two of them with a colon, just like that. In the second question, notice girls are mentioned before boys. We're still dealing with the same numbers, but because order matters, our answer is 12 to 16. So don't give marks away by not reading carefully. Make sure the order in the words matches the order in your answer. Now, looking at the third part, what's the answer to part B in its simplest form? So we're going to use the same sort of maths that we use for simplifying fractions or simplifying ratios. So look at the 12 and the 16 and think what goes into both. Well, these two numbers are both in the 4 times table, so I know that I can divide them both by 4. So if I do that, that's going to give me 3. Divide 16 by 4, that's going to give me 4. So that is how you simplify a ratio. You divide left and right by the same thing until you can't go any further. So let's move on. I'm just going to go through a couple more and then put some up for you to pause the video and have a go at. So looking at these two, number of different ways I could go. I've noticed that I can divide both of these by 3. So that would give me 10 to 16. Okay, what goes into 10 and into 16? Well, they're both even numbers, so divide that by 2, give me 5. Divide 16 by 2, give me 8. Don't think I can go any further than that, so my answer to the first one would be 5 to 8. Okay, looking at the second one, what goes into 15 and into 20? Well, I can see they're both in the 5 times table. If I divide this by 5 and this by 5, that gives me an answer of 3 to 4. And looking at the third one, you don't have to give your answer in 1 step or 2 steps. It doesn't matter how many steps you take. What's more important is that you end up at a point where you can't simplify any further. So if I were to divide by 4 and divide by 4, okay, looking at both these numbers, well, they're both still in the 4 times table, So I could divide by 4 again, and divide by 4 again. And I'm left with 2 to 3. Doesn't matter if you did your steps in a different order, or you did more steps or fewer steps. These are the answers that you would be looking for. So, moving on. Pause the video, have a go at those, and then start it up again and check your answers. Okay, for the first one, divided left and right both by 10 to get 3 to 5. Looking at the second one down, both those numbers in the 3 times table, so 15 to 21 simplifies to 5 to 7. For the third one, 12 and 15 are also both in the 3 times table, so we've divided left and right by 3, and in the fourth one, 40 and 25 are both in the 5 times table, so both numbers have been divided by 5. So if you got those, that looks like you're on top of this topic. So let's keep going. Equivalent ratios. On the slides we've just come from, each time we simplified a ratio, the ratio that we started with and the ratio that we ended up with are equivalent. So simplifying ratios gives us equivalent ratios. But looking at this question, we're given the ratio 4 to 7 and asked to find something that's equivalent to this, where the left hand side of the ratio is a 20. So here's what we would do. We're trying to find out what this number would be. So what I suggest you do is look at this. How many times does 4 go into 20? 5 times. So that's a times 5 there. I would do the same thing on the other side of the ratio. That gives me my missing number as 35. So 4 to 7 and 20 to 35 are equivalent ratios. And very importantly, if I were to simplify 20 to 35, I would end up with 4 to 7. So yeah, I've just put in words on the slide what I've just explained there. So I'll leave that on screen for just a few seconds for you to read, and then we'll move on. Okay, here are a couple for you to have a go at, so pause the video, have a go, and see what you come up with. Okay, 7 goes into 28 4 times. So if we multiply 3 by 4, we'll get 12. So our answer is 12 to 28 is equivalent to 3 to 7. And here 12 goes into 60 5 times. So again, I'll do the same thing on the right hand side. 9 times 5 is 45. So there's my answer. Okay, if you still need some practice, here are a few more, and then after these, after we've checked these, that'll be the end of the video. So pause here. Okay, if you followed the methods that I've just been suggesting, 5 goes into 30 6 times. So if we multiply by 6 here, we get 54. 7 goes into 42 6 times. If we multiply the 3 by 6, that will give us 18. And finally, this ratio is in 3 parts, and it's the middle part that we've got in both cases. So that's where we start. 6 goes into 30 5 times, so I'll multiply the 8 by 5 to get 40, and I'll multiply the 3 by 5 to get 15. So that's it. If you've managed to take all that in, that's pretty much all you need for foundation level simplifying ratios and equivalent ratios. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye.